Hi and welcome back. I did a film about a UK company who are proposing to take the excess electricity produced by, say, wind farms at night to make hydrogen and to put the hydrogen in our fossil gas fuel supply, 20%. I think it's a really great idea. But I got some very interesting and some quite disturbing comments which I'd like to discuss with you today. First of all, I'd like to thank all the excellent gas engineers out there who actually worry about hydrogen in the gas supply. They correctly point out that hydrogen is a very small molecule and would easily leak out of compromised joints and could potentially be an explosive risk. And in fact, they correctly point out, as I said, that coal gas, the old gas made from heating coal and producing coke and hydrogen and other chemicals, was 60% hydrogen. And in fact, there was a problem when we had town gas, coal gas, that more places did explode, probably because of the hydrogen. But I think the company who are proposing the hydrogen injection addition to the natural or North Sea gas in the UK probably know about this. And I think that they've hit on a magic figure of adding 20% hydrogen to the fossil natural gas product. And I believe that that negates the problem. But then I got a bunch of comments all basically saying exactly the same thing, as if they'd all come from the same source. And what they said, I'm finding really disturbing. Because the film was about combating climate change, they felt that they had to make this comment. And this is what a number of people wanted to write to tell me. They all said, Professor Simon, water vapor is the world's biggest greenhouse gas. Okay, they are correct, but they're completely, utterly twisting the facts and missing the point. It's a bit like saying, hey, professor, you know the Antarctic's melting? The problem's all that water. Well, yeah, the water from the ice is ultimately the problem, but you're ignoring what's making the ice melt. It's an oversimplification. So let's today look at the facts of why water vapor isn't the problem. So I'm going to do two things. First of all, I'm going to discuss this issue that seems to have reared, dare I say, its ugly head, claiming that water vapor is really the problem and the cause of global warming. Totally missing the point. And second, I'm going to look at the history of misinformation, because I think this water vapor spurious debate touches a much more important point and has some really interesting history. So first, let's deal with the water vapor issue. Yes, water vapor is a greenhouse gas. It traps heat in our planet and makes our planet warmer. But it's not the issue. What you're ignoring by saying water vapor is the biggest greenhouse gas is why we're having so much of it. And it is true, the Earth is getting wetter and warmer at the same time in a desperate way of trying to protect itself. So let's talk about CO2. The gas that us liberals, our complete socialist, nutty, climate change, Greta Thunberg crazies are talking about for a second. CO2 is one of the problems. So is methane. These are chemicals which have exponentially increased in our atmosphere since the birth of humans burning fossil fuels. There is no debate. Although scientists love to say CO2 probably, might, has caused some effect, it's a way of us scientists expressing their data. CO2, mainly produced by humans burning fossil fuels, lasts a very long time. It's only broken down in our atmosphere by chemical reactions with sunlight, unlike water vapor, which falls as rain after a few hours. And CO2 undeniably is a climate change accelerant. For every 1% of CO2 extra we put into our planet's atmosphere, it produces another 1% of water vapor, so producing a total of 3%. My maths is terrible, but 3% of an effect of climate change. And CO2 in the atmosphere is long lasting. So sure, the problem is water. Just as I said, the problem of melting ice is water. But don't ignore what's making the water vapor. And this leads me on to a historic point. In the 1950s and 60s, scientists began to understand the connection between tobacco and lung cancer. Many surveys were done, lots of results were produced, and they produced statistical analysis saying there was a highly likely chance that smoking causes illness and possibly lung cancer. Just the same with the fossil fuel industry, the tobacco industry took the scientific term probably statistically evidence and turned it around and initially said smoking doesn't kill you. An easy to understand, undeniably correct, but missing the point, simple statement. Smoking isn't the main cause of death. Well, true. Water vapor is the world's worst climate greenhouse gas. Well, true. Both misses the point. So I believe, hate me if you want, I really don't care, because this is true, that the fossil fuel industry and lobby groups are turning the argument away from CO2 production and blaming water vapor for one reason, and it's the same thing that the tobacco companies did. The large oil companies know that CO2 is a greenhouse gas. They know that burning fossil fuels is bad for the environment. They have done their own research. They've known it for hundreds of years. But just like the tobacco companies, every day, every hour that they can extend the debate, playing on the scientists saying statistically probable and turning it into oversimplistic, wrong pseudoscience comments, they're selling cigarettes or selling fossil fuels. The eventual downfall of the tobacco industry was when it was revealed that their own science revealed there was a link between smoking and lung cancer. And then public opinion changed against them. They were seen as liars, and governments started putting health warnings on cigarettes. That debate raged for years, and all the time people debated whether smoking was good or bad for you. They sold cigarettes. So by saying on a public forum like YouTube that water vapor is the real culprit of climate change is just the same. Get off that hobby horse. You have been lied to. Water vapor is the output of climate change. It's not the problem. I really don't mind being controversial. I love dealing with issues of UFOs and climate change. I'm old enough to take it. Question where you get your information from. Look at a bigger picture. Do not buy oversimplistic slogans as true. There is a hidden agenda. The truth is out there.